Hello, fellow starvers. Welcome to a Don't Starve Together challenge video series that no one asked for, and if they had asked, they probably would have asked somebody else. I consider myself to be a very average Don't Starve Together player. I've killed all the seasonal bosses, a couple of times at the very least. I've killed Deerclops a bunch, and some mooses and gooses, only done the antlion once because it doesn't really seem worth your time. And then Bearger I kind of like to let hang around because he's not that mean. One time I soloed Klaus, feel kind of good about that. I've died to Dragonfly a bunch of times. One time a buddy and I duoed Dragonfly. And I feel that I can survive, as far as like food and hound waves and all that stuff goes, I can survive a pretty long time. So I've had a few runs recently where I've been playing the game as whatever character, and about every time I do something cool, like I'll kill a boss, and then I'll think to myself, this little voice will say, yeah, but could you have done that as qWESt, though? And I'll say, like, yeah, maybe, probably not, but maybe. So I've decided to take that one step farther, even, and go for a qWESt challenge run in a lights out server. So this is not going to be very easy, especially not for a player of my caliber. So I think it will probably take a lot of tries, and I hope that you're, ready to come with me on this journey of repeated death and despair. So we start out, I'll go ahead in the early videos here of the series, I'll probably do a little bit more of a full commentary type thing, and then as the series progresses, I feel like we're going to see day one a lot of times, and you probably don't need to hear me talk about day one a lot of times, so we'll probably do a lot of fast forwarding and stuff. As for now, I have a feeling that there are some people watching who don't know very much about the game, have just not watched other videos or whatever. There are people that I know in real life who want to watch the video just to support me, whatever. So I'll give a brief rundown of a lot of the stuff that's happening, especially in these early ones, and then maybe I'll be a little quieter in the later ones, like I said. So we're starting out on day one. We're doing a lights out world, which means that the sun never comes up. So typically in the game, there's a day-night cycle where it's day for, a third of the day, and then evening for a third of the day, and then night for a third of the day at the start, and those change as the seasons change. In winter you have more night, and in summer you have more day. But for this one, there will be no day-night cycle. That impacts a lot of stuff in the game. There are certain creatures that only come out at night. There's certain creatures that only come out at day. There's a lot of little subtle differences above and beyond just the night of it all. So what I'm trying to do here is light these little plants by the pond on fire for some extra light. These are a great thing to do in the lights out mode. They do come back eventually, I'm pretty sure, and they serve no purpose whatsoever other than aesthetics. So even if they don't come back, it's not that big of a deal. Your ponds will just be a little barren, and nobody really cares about that. So that thing that's chasing me is called the stagehand. I hate it a lot, but the presence of a lot of ponds, a stagehand, and a brick road or cobblestone road means that my good buddy Chester is likely in the area. So I'm searching the ponds. Again, I'm going to try to light this but not be able to, so I'm going to go to the other side. And then my goal here is to leave the stagehand. The stagehand stays with a light source. That's its whole thing, is that it goes to the nearest light source. So if I let these ponds light on fire and I just leave, hopefully it will stop chasing me and giving me the heebie-jeebies. So we're heading towards the end of the brick road to look again for Chester. Now, Don't Starve has a lot of inventory management type stuff that you have to worry about. You need items to craft, you need items to eat, items to heal. So inventory is pretty important. And Chester is a little walking chest that has 9 inventory slots in him at default. You can add 3 slots later, or you can upgrade him to be like a little ice box. So I'm spinning my mouse around, which is a little cheesy, but not too bad. I was hoping that it would light up and say, like, hey, here's Chester, but it did not. But that's okay. I'm going to find him here in a second. So those flowers are where the stagehand started. That's the little creepy thing that was running around behind me. There's Chester's eye bone. When you pick that up, he starts to follow you. Now, this world is a juicy berry world. You can see I'm knocking the berries out of that bush, and I get 3 berries at a time, but they spoil very, very quickly. Personally, I really like juicy berry worlds. They're kind of a debatable topic, though. So here's a little tip. You can just put a log down and light it on fire instead of actually crafting a campfire if you're not going to stay there for very long and you're not interested in cooking. Like, I couldn't cook my berries over this log, but it gives me enough light to mine that thing, and then I'm leaving anyway, so it doesn't matter that it doesn't burn that long. That hissing sound is Charlie. She's the night creature. She'll kill you. She'll kill me outright if she hits me once because I don't have armor on, and she does 100 damage, and Wes only has 75 health, 75 hunger, and 75 sanity. In the top right corner, you'll notice my little brain meter, which is the sanity bar, is already getting pretty low. You can see the little spooky shadow monster walking there, but he's still pretty transparent, which means he cannot yet attack me, but that will come. So now you see I put an actual campfire there so that I could mine 3 or 4 rocks in the area, and that's probably more resource efficient than just dropping logs and burning them, but I haven't done the actual math. Anyway, off we go. We are just kind of looking around for important stuff in the early days, so I like to find, well, I guess in Lights Out it's going to be a whole different list of things. In a regular playthrough, I always try to find the Pig King. He's like a good source of gold, but in Lights Out, he's asleep the whole time, so there's legit no point in finding the Pig King at all. I'll probably look for the Dragonfly Desert, because it has some magma pools, which will keep it nice and warm. And Wes already has some temperature issues, I guess we could say. He gets colder or hotter more more bad than the other characters. So you have to manage his temperature a little bit more than you would for other characters. So now I'm running out of my torch. I'm going to equip another one, and I'm going to keep on exploring. So a lot of new players shouldn't probably play Lights Out World, but I was going to say a lot of new players, when night comes, they'll make a campfire and then just sit at the campfire the whole time. And this is not great for use of your time, and time is one of the most valuable resources in Don't Starve. So there was a quick... Okay, there's a lot happening right now, so I'm going to talk about the shadow monster first, and then I'll go back to the mole. So the shadow creatures attack you when your sanity's low enough. You can see that my sanity in the top right corner is at 0. So I got this crawling horror type shadow creature, which is like a big fatty boy. So if you're feeling really spicy, you can do one swing, walk away, and then do another swing. The safer method is to just dodge the bite and then do one swing. It takes a little longer to kill them, but you're a lot less likely to get hit. Now, I did it right here. I will do it not right in the future and probably often. The mole, so mole worms will come to nearby minerals, rocks, and such, and eat them. It's very annoying. They're, I think, pretty universally reviled as creatures. I can't speak for the whole community, but I think most people don't care much for the mole worms. But they do serve a purpose. You can use them to craft a nice helmet that lets you see at night. So I picked one up. You need 2 of them and a lot of other resources that I won't have for quite a while. There's really no reason for me to have picked this one up. It just clutters up my inventory. But at the time, I thought I was being very slick. So you'll see I got bitten once by the shadow creature. So now I'm doing the little more safe version of kiting. Now, I'm wondering at this point, I would like to put my mole worm in Chester. I don't know where Chester is. He should be right behind me. I have the eye bone. You can see that the eye is open, so that means that Chester is alive and well, and there's very little reason for him to not be here. I think maybe he got caught on a pond or something, and just couldn't, move forward. So the swamp is the most dangerous biome on the surface, in my opinion. There's other ones that can be pretty dangerous, like if you just walk into like a boss and end up getting stomped on. But the swamp has the most concentrated number of dangers, with worms, tentacles, those mosquitoes and spiders and stuff. So I've picked up a reed. Reeds are kind of important, and you can only get them in the swamp. A lot of resources you can dig up and replant somewhere else. Here's me spamming the eye bone trying to get Chester. Like, there's no... It doesn't actually do anything when you click on it, but he should be with me, and he's not, and that's annoying. So I wanted to put my reed somewhere in my inventory so that I can pick up more reeds. So what I've done is I take the rocks and I just keep them on my mouse pointer, and now the axe is on my mouse pointer. This is an advantage of PC. You get one extra item slot, basically, because you can carry stuff on your mouse pointer. But if I carry the reeds on my mouse pointer, then I can't pick up more of them. They have to be in your inventory to add to the stack. So here's that little guy. So let's go back and we'll put some stuff in Chester. Well, let's not stand there because a tentacle's coming out. So now Chester's getting whipped by a tentacle, which he kind of deserves. But I'm going to move him over here. Okay, so another crawling horror. No big deal. Terrorbeak is a bigger deal. So a lot of pros can very easily kill Terrorbeaks. Yeah. If I go to my obituaries page in my compendium, it will tell you that Terrorbeak has killed me more than any other thing in the game. I die to Terrorbeak 40 or 50% of the time I die is to Terrorbeak, which I know is not good. I mean, I should be able to dodge it and do better, but I was not. So here I haunt Chester. I'm placing the blame on this one firmly with Chester. If he would have not gotten stuck somewhere, I would have been able to run through the swamp more efficiently, and then I could have fought Terrorbeak somewhere that wasn't the swamp and right next to the edge of the map where I was kind of getting cornered. But like I said, I blame Chester on this one. So I'm haunting this pile of balloons just for fun. It made a little pig balloon just for fun as well. So I haunt that a few times. And then I've calmed down enough that I'm ready to try again. So I click the reset button. Same world settings. Same end goals and all that stuff. Just getting a new world that I haven't died once in. So while that's happening, I'll talk a little bit more about the ultimate goals. I want to kill all the bosses as qWESt in a lights out world. It's not a lot of goals, but they're all very, very difficult, and there's a lot of multi-step goals involved in here, and we'll talk more about them as they come up. But I start over, chop down these trees, so you can just, this a new thing they added like last year, you can just click the mouse and hold it on the trees, and you'll chop enough times in a row, and that's very convenient. So qWESt, along with being terrible at pretty much everything, also takes longer to gather resources. So a normal character would take 15 swings of the axe to get logs out of a full-size tree. There are characters who can do it in less. Woody can do it in less, or fewer, and so can... I don't know how I didn't hear that Charlie attack the first time, but I apparently just got lucky and I didn't get bitten because I was just slightly in the light. So anyway, Woody can chop trees faster. Wolfgang can chop trees faster some of the time. But 15 is a pretty standard number of swings. qWESt takes 20, and he takes more swings for everything. So 8 swings of a pickaxe to mine instead of 6, 20 swings on a tree instead of 10 or 15, 5 hammers for hammering down a pig house instead of 4. And then as far as combat goes, he's also worse at that. But they've made it less of a drain on resources now. So qWESt does 75% damage per swing, but he also only uses 75% durability per swing. So it'll take you the same number of weapons, barring weird ones like the handbat or whatever, but it would take you the same number of dark swords to kill a boss as qWESt as it would take you for anybody else, but you would just have to swing them more times and dodge more hits of the boss and all that sort of stuff. So, early game, I have no qualms just burning trees and stuff. I think it's good to get an extra source of light. You can, mine and chop while you don't have the torch in your hand. Towards the hopefully early game, but in a little while, I should be able to get lanterns and a miner's hat and things that you can use for light on the go without having to burn a tree or whatever or build a campfire. I try to burn things in the vicinity of actions that I want to do. So, I'll light a tree and then chop 2 more trees that are nearby it just to try to maximize the use of that time. So, as far as this is concerned, I'm just gathering up the basic resources. And now I can see on my map on the edge that that's the desert. So, there's 2 deserts. One has volt goats, which are pretty helpful animals that you have to farm. And by farm, I just mean murder. You don't actually have to, ranch them and give them food and stuff. That's something I think could be cool if they added to the game, but right now, farming is just for, crops and everything, which is pretty cool. They've added a lot to the crop farming system. Anyway, you got the Volt Goat Desert and the Oasis Desert. And then the other desert is called the Dragonfly Desert or the Tumbleweed Desert. So they've both got resources that are pretty helpful, and they both got things that are similar to the reeds I was talking about earlier where you can't move them. So they're cactus plants that only grow in the desert, and they're very helpful for sanity management. And as you saw earlier, where I got bitten to death by a nightmare creature, sanity management is going to be pretty important for this run. At nighttime, your character constantly loses sanity. Now, there are ways to raise your sanity. See, I picked a couple flowers, and that gives you more sanity. It gives you +5 just for picking the flower. Now, in a normal world, people kind of like to leave all the flowers that they can leave because butterflies will spawn at the flowers during the day, and you can hit the butterfly. It gives you 8 health when you eat the wings, which is a lot of health, honestly, for something that you don't have to cook and doesn't take any effort. In a lights out world, butterflies don't spawn, so there's really no reason to care at all about picking the flowers, in my opinion. If you disagree, let me know, because like I said, I'm a pretty average player. I've got a lot to learn, so if you got some hot tips in the comments, I would be happy to read them. So, we're still trying to get around to that desert, just to see which desert it is. Oftentimes, people will base in the Oasis Desert because there is a sandstorm there during the summer, and that prevents wildfires. During the summer in all other biomes, there's a chance for things to smolder and then combust in the daytime, and that's critical for me to say. So in the nighttime, in the summer, there are no wildfires. So that's one of the advantages of a lights out world, which are small, but there are advantages. And that's, here it is. I heard it coming. But anyway, one of the advantages is that you don't have to worry about wildfires. So I could, in theory, just base wherever I want. Okay, so you can't light the stagehand on fire, we've just discovered. Real bummer, but I see why, because it would be kind of too strong if this thing that followed me forever would also become a light source. But here we are, we're back to a brick road and a stagehand, so that means that it's likely we'll find the betrayer, Chester, ender of the previous run. So, let's see. I think I probably do the same thing of lighting a small fire here and trying to get the stagehand to stay at it. The music that it makes is just so unsettling, and I don't want it to be doing this for the whole run. But it looks like I haven't done it yet if I am going to do it. So right at the end of the road, a lot of times is where Chester will spawn. So I'm going to light a small sapling on fire, and there he is. That's a nice benefit of carrying around pine cones, is that you can do a quick burst of more light than the torch gives you. The torch is pretty much the worst light source. As I get farther in the game, I'll get the lanterns and the miner's hat and stuff, like I mentioned. And that will make a larger radius of light around my character. So I've eaten some berries. These are regular berries. It's not the juicy berries, but they're still pretty good for early game food. They just take longer to gather, but they also don't spoil as quickly. So we're running, and we're trying not to turn our torch on very much because I want the stagehand to not follow my torch. So I hate backtracking, especially in the early game, over areas that I've already explored. I like to fill out the minimap a little bit more, but I don't know, I guess I just backtracked for no reason. So I'm doing a little inventory management. I like to keep my stuff full stacks to the right, so you can see with the logs there, I have 3 logs in one stack and then 20 logs in another. So when you craft items, the game pulls from your leftmost stack, so it will grab from the stack of 3 first, which will, potentially eliminate that stack, and then I only have 1 inventory slot being taken up. Now here I'm going to flex on everybody by fighting some spiders, which are the easiest monsters in the game to kill, and I'm still going to take a fair amount of damage, I think, if I remember correctly. So, again, folks, a pretty average play. So I'm trying to do a slick thing where you can light the spider on fire with the torch and then switch to the axe and kill the other spider. And then I give up on that, and I decide I'm going to plant a sapling and light it on fire. And then I get hit again 2 times, and I panic and I run away. It's really showcasing the level of play that you can expect for the next remainder of the series. So I hit the spider. Wes has to hit spiders a lot of times. Normal characters can hit him 3 times with an axe, maybe, and he has to do 4 or 5. I don't know. Axes are terrible weapons, but it's better than the pickaxe, so I'm using the axe for now. I would like to eventually craft a spear. A lot of the times I like to kind of dance around in the swamp for a little while because the tentacles can drop a tentacle spike, which is a very good early game weapon, and you don't even have to kill them because the other hostile creatures in the swamp will kill them. So here I decided to eat some carrots instead of some berries. Usually I eat the berries first because they spoil quicker, but carrots also give you plus health instead of just the plus to your hunger. So, being that I just got bitten by 3 spiders, I figured I ought to heal up a little bit. So, one of the things that can be a little confusing is the phrasing for hunger. So you'll probably notice that I'm going to say my hunger is low when my stomach meter is empty. And in fact, that would mean my hunger would be high. Like my character, if you're a character other than Wes, would be saying phrases like, "Oh, I'm so hungry." But what I mean there is my hunger meter is low. So you can see my hunger meter's full, health meter's pretty low, sanity meter is dipping. There's a terror beak. So, my old nemesis, we meet again. Now, I can tell because of the shape of the cacti that this is the Oasis Desert / Volt Goat Desert. Now, that's not really important for right this minute while I'm trying to escape a terror beak, but it is interesting information nonetheless. So I light this bush on fire, and I decide I'm going to fight. So I hit the terror beak. Terror beaks, I never do the hit, swing, or hit, dodge, hit thing. I always just do dodge and then hit. So now you'll see what I'm going to do here. I know I've run in the calculations. That bush is about to not be on fire anymore. So I'm going to head over towards this other bush, and I'm going to do a real quick dodge, just a quick one, and light that bush. Except that I didn't do it right, and I have died. So, Chester, this time it's not on you. You're off the hook. You're a sweet little angel, and I'm sorry that I yelled at you last time. I can hear the Volt Goats snoring, indifferent to my suffering. So this is it, folks. We've got a long way to go, as you can tell. And so I hope that you come with me on this very long journey